All right, guys. Our next guest is an American Nationals black belt gold medalist, an Asian Open black belt gold medalist in the absolute weight, the Nogi Pan American black belt gold medalist, Brazilian Nationals black belt silver medalist, New York Open black belt gold medalist, weight and absolute, and a Boston Open black belt gold medalist. As you can see, he's done a lot of things and accomplished a lot in his career, and he's going to be fighting Rory MacDonald at Metamoris 5. He is none other than JT Torres. JT, welcome to Submission Radio. How are you?
Thank you. I'm doing pretty good, and really appreciate you guys having me.
Yeah, it's absolutely our pleasure having you on the show. And we're obviously very excited about seeing you compete against Rory MacDonald at Metamoris 5. But the matchup almost didn't happen because you originally wanted to be a basketball player. Now tell us, at 5'7", why did you want to be a basketball player, and how did you originally get into BJJ?
You know, I have always enjoyed all different kind of sports, and one sport I really enjoyed, and I still enjoy watching and playing a little bit here and there, is basketball. And I tried to play basketball for my school. I got cut from the team and all that because, you know, I wasn't good enough. And I was kind of just hanging around, not doing much. And actually, my father's the one who pushed me to keep doing martial arts. And I stumbled across Brazilian Jiu Jitsu when I was a young kid, 15 years old. And ever since that day, I've been going strong with Brazilian Jiu Jitsu. I fell in love with it since day one.
Well, that's very good, JT. And, you know, to the untrained eye, you look very laid back on the mat, but you have a rather aggressive style, which makes for very exciting fights. If you could, how would you describe your style of jiu-jitsu?
I would describe myself as jiu-jitsu of like being like a bulldozer. You know, I'm always trying to go forward. You'll never see me backing up or, you know, trying to run away. I'm always trying to bring the fight, and you know, I'm never afraid to bring it. You know, where some people I know like to tie up or like to stall it out. You know, I'm not afraid of losing, and that's one thing that holds a lot of people back. And I just go right for the kill, and you know, I like to look to push the action and have some fun out there as well.
And that's exactly, you know, that makes you the perfect fit for, a place like Metamoris. And this will be obviously the 5th Metamoris event. You obviously competed at Metamoris 2 against Victor Estima. You know, the match went to a draw. We saw you in Estima's guard for majority of the match. How did you find the event in general, and what was the biggest thing you learned from it?
Well, you know, what I found from the event itself, it's a great event, well run, and they're really treating the BJJ athletes like high-level athletes that they should be treated like, which was really cool to see and experience myself. And I've never fought a match like that where it was just 20 minutes, submission only, that's it, that's the only way you can win. They changed up a lot of things, especially for someone like me who competes a lot, but I used to compete a lot in tournaments with points, time limits, a referee that gives you a decision or not, sometimes 3 referees for one match. So it's a little different where these other tournaments, you're always constantly thinking in your mind points. It's almost like a math equation, where at Metamoris, the only thing you have to think about is submitting the guy. And that's something that's sometimes more difficult than looking for points and all that, without a doubt, especially fighting another high-level guy for 20 minutes who's trying to do the same thing. So really, it was a cool thing to experience because I had to switch my mindset from one type of tournament to a different type. And I'm lucky to have that experience from Metamoris 2, bring it into this next Metamoris match, and I think it's going to help me out a lot, actually.
Now, in terms of your matchup against Rory MacDonald at Metamoris 5, could you explain to us or give us the background? How did this all come together? How did this contest come together? And, you know, how familiar were you with Rory before this match got announced?
I mean, it all came together with, you know, a Facebook message, actually. I got a Facebook message from Gracie, and he asked me if I was interested in fighting in the Metamoris 5, and I said, absolutely. I said, who'd you have in mind? And he said, you know what, give me a few days. I'll get back to you. I'll let you know a few options I got for you. So I said, okay, great, cool. And a few days later, he said, what about Rory MacDonald? And at first I was like, Rory MacDonald, the UFC fighter? And I said, wow. I mean, I was a little surprised because, I mean, Rory's a great MMA fighter, obviously, but I always see him dominating with strikes. So I never really thought of him of a grappler, which I know he still has great grappling skills, but, you know, he really portrays his striking. So I was like, wow, this is interesting. I said, okay, yeah, absolutely, let's do it. And, yeah, that's how it came about. I'm actually really excited, and yeah, I'm excited to see what happens, you know. I'm excited to see what Rory comes to the table with, and I know I'm training hard, getting ready for the event.
Now, it sounds like, when he mentioned Rory, you knew who he was. Are you a fan of mixed martial arts or just predominantly BJJ?
Yeah, I mean, I'm a huge fan of both. I follow MMA and obviously Brazilian Jiu Jitsu, but yeah, I'm a huge fan of both, and I'm actually a fan of Rory. I watched his last fight. I think it was like 2 weeks ago, and I was actually rooting for him. And I really do think he'll be the champ one day very soon. I have a lot of respect for him, and I enjoy watching him fight.
And speaking of his last fight at UFC 178, we're just wondering, what did you think of Rory's death stare?
I liked it. I liked it. I liked it because I like to do the same thing, where I like to look into my opponent's eyes, and when they look away, they have a little bit of doubt. So it just shows me that Rory is game, and he wants to bring the fight, and I feel I perform to my best when the other person comes to fight as well. That's when they open up themselves too for mistakes to be taken advantage of, and likewise, for me too. But like I said, that's what makes the fight fun to watch and to fight.
And now, Coach Faraz Zahabi of TriStar recently said the BJJ is just one of the things they do to train for MMA. It sounds like they're very confident they will be taking the win. Given that you don't do any MMA and BJJ is your primary focus, do you think that will give you an advantage against Rory at Metamoris 5?
Absolutely. I think I have the advantage in the technical side, where I think my technique is more refined than his. Given, I know he's a black belt. I know he got his black belt in no-gi jiu-jitsu and all that. But, I think the mindsets are trained are differently too. They're trained to be different, where, he finds his opponent in a vulnerable spot and he wants to rain down punches and knees and elbows, where I'm looking to lock into submission. So just our thought process, I think, will be a little bit different. And, he's got good grappling, but like I said, I think I have the advantage in the technical side. Also, he's bringing in a size advantage, which makes things interesting as well. I think I'll be giving up maybe a little bit more than 20 pounds. So, it's going to maybe even things out. I don't know. Only one way to find out, right?
Tune into the event. We'll have to.
Now, Faraz Zahabi, he's a great coach in MMA. However, you train with some amazing guys yourself at, Atos Academy, including Keenan Cornelius, Andre Galval. What's it like training with Andre and Keenan? And, how much confidence does that give you going into a contest such as this?
You know what? It gives me a lot of confidence, actually, because those two guys are obviously two of the best guys in the world, if not the best guys in the world right now. So I get to train with those guys day in and day out, 7 days a week, so it's only making my game better, having those guys sharpening my tools. And actually, Keenan probably has a similar body type to Rory MacDonald, which helps me train and helps me train for that specific fight. And also, Professor Andre Galval, he's around the same weight class as Rory, so is Keenan. So I have two very high-level guys around the same size as Rory to help me prepare. So it's going to help me immensely, I believe.
Yeah, I was just wondering, you're talking about your training and, some of the stuff that you guys do. Me and Casper, we're casual Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu guys here in Australia. We might train, 2-3 times a week on a good week. But, I've heard some crazy statistics about the amount of training that, professional Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu artists do. I'm just wondering, what's a typical training schedule like for you? How many times a day do you train?
Hours a day. I would say for me it's like a full-time job. So I would say a good 8 hours a day I'm at the gym.
Wow.
I'm not training the entire 8 hours, but for example, we'll train 2 hours in the morning. I'll go get lunch or whatever. I'll rest up, and then I'll either be lifting weights for an hour or drilling for an hour. Then I also teach classes. I teach the kids classes, and instructing, I firmly believe, is another form of training, because just me explaining techniques reminds me of the essential parts of all the techniques. So that's a refreshment for my own mind. And then at night, another 2 hours. So you add it up, you almost got 8 hours of mat time altogether. So it's like a full-time job, definitely is.
That's crazy. Now, in terms of Rory, if you could just sort of sum him up, maybe on like a graph, what would you say Rory's biggest strength would be, and what would you say his biggest weakness would be coming to this match against you?
I would say his biggest strength would be his aggressiveness and his size. And then I think his weakness will be. Oh, that's a good question, actually. He's a very good athlete. Very good athlete. You know what? I'm not sure what his weakness is, but I'm going to go out there and force him to show me what the weakness is.
And, JT, obviously you mentioned that, Rory, he's primarily an MMA guy, uses his striking a lot. Does it put any pressure on you in this matchup, knowing that, you Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu, it's your world, and, Rory's coming to sort of test your skills. Do you feel any pressure going into this one?
No, to be honest, because he's a world-class athlete himself. You know what I'm saying? Just like, we just an example, if you take a high-level Olympic judo player and put him with the best jiu-jitsu guy, it's still going to be a tough match for both guys. They're both world-class athletes, and you throw them in together, and it's going to be a battle either way. So, it doesn't really put pressure on me. I try to avoid putting pressure on me. I just want to go out there and focus on what I'm going to do and not worry about any outside pressure coming in and just go out there and do my thing.
Yeah, of course. Now, it's becoming pretty common for a lot of guys, to come in from MMA and headline these grappling competitions like Metamoris. We obviously saw Chael Sonnen, Josh Barnett, even Dean Lister. What do you think about a lot of these MMA guys coming, to BJJ comps and headlining these submission grappling events?
I think it's awesome. I think it's great for the sport. I think it's great for the MMA world. I think it's great for the BJJ world. They're only going to help each other, I believe. There's some MMA fans out there that are not very educated on the grappling aspect of things. So when they see these big UFC MMA fighters coming in to do a submission-only fight, they're going to be interested to watch, and they'll learn about Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu. They'll learn about submissions, and vice versa. Big UFC names coming in to do grappling matches, the BJJ fans are going to be interested to watch them fight in the UFC fights one day down the road, So I think they're both great for each other, and they're helping each other out grow.
Now, JD, you recently suffered a nasty injury in training where you ripped your third and fourth toes apart. Just to tell the listeners at home, how did that happen? What exactly happened there?
And so I was training. I was actually training for the Nogi Worlds, and I was feeling great. And I actually went for a foot sweep, and my partner was stepping back. I was going for the foot sweep, and the edges of my toe hit his ankle, and which just split the two toes apart because I went for the foot sweep pretty hard. I went with it 100% to try to get the takedown, and I just split them open. And honestly, I didn't realize it at first. I kept training. We were still on the feet training, and then I just felt the warmness of the blood, and I looked down, and it just looked like a crime scene. So I was like, "Whoa, what just happened?" And it was actually a clean cut. I got 13 stitches, and I couldn't fight the Nogi Worlds. I had to sit out, and I just had to let it rest up. But I'm back to training now. Of course, I'm taping my toes just to be safe.
Yeah.
But it was a nasty little injury. But thank God I'm back on the mats and I'm training hard again.
Yeah, I was gonna say, how is the foot now? Will it be 100% for Metamoris 5 against Rory?
Oh, absolutely, absolutely. Right now I'm already training hard, and I'm back on the mats, and I still got a few weeks until the fight, so it'll definitely be 100% by then.
Now, JT, it's no secret that you were coming on to Submission Radio, so we've got a lot of fan questions for you. But before we jump to those, we have one last question for you ourselves, and that is, the event is obviously headlined by Sakuraba versus Renzo Gracie. We're just wondering, could you give us a prediction? Who do you think is going to go out on top in that one? And how do you feel about being on an event like this one and being on the same card as these legends?
I think Renzo Gracie will come on top with the win. I just think Renzo Gracie has been more active in recent years than Sakuraba has been, so I'll give the advantage to Renzo for sure. And once I found out that Renzo and Sakuraba was the main event to this event, I was so excited to be a part of it. And just to watch those two legends go at it, I mean, I'm a huge fan of both guys. I grew up watching both guys fight, and some of the toughest guys I've ever seen in my life. So I'm super excited to be on the same card, and it's almost like a dream come true. You know, I was a boy watching these guys fight back in the day, and now I'm fighting the fight right before them. It's crazy to me, but I'm super excited.
Yeah, it's absolutely amazing. Now, JT, we obviously told the fans you're coming on the show, and obviously the BJJ community is strong around the world and in Australia. We've got a few questions from the fans, so I'll kick it off with this one from Matt Blitz. He basically said, you know, you posted not too long ago a quick clip of some heavy dumbbell bench press. What are your favorite lifts to perform for Jiu Jitsu, and what are your personal bests for them? And he follows it up with, would you consider posting more footage like that for future strength and conditioning sessions?
Yeah, so what I like to do, I like to lift heavy. Absolutely, I like to lift heavy. So I'll just do basic workouts where just bicep curls, bench press with dumbbells in the bar, squats, just the essentials. I think you can't go wrong with those. And I believe you should do those a few weeks out before your fight. And then I'll see if 3 weeks before your match or your tournament, you change it up. You start doing lighter weight, higher reps, and more cardio-based workouts where more sprints, more running, and less heavy lifting. But like I said, a few weeks before out, you build that power, and then when you're close to the fight, you build the speed and the cardio.
And now, just in terms of Matt Blitz's question, what are you able to tell us your personal best for, say, I don't know, bench press and squat?
Yeah, the heaviest I did on squat was 335, I believe, and
Wow.
I think I can go a little heavier. And then bench press, I believe my highest was 245 so far. So I'm building that up little by little, and trying my best. And on top of that, it's also challenging because I'll train jiu-jitsu in the morning, hard, then go lift in the afternoon. I'm already half tired, so it's like a whole nother sport, weightlifting in itself. So it's fun, it's challenging.
JT, I have a fan question actually from myself because I'm a fan of you. I'm wondering, obviously I mentioned, me, Cass, and a lot of the Australian listeners listening right now in New Zealand, the big question comes up in the Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu communities down here. What's the best dieting, when training hard for Jiu-Jitsu? I'm just wondering, a person like yourself, do you use many supplements? Are you more of a natural guy? What does a meal plan look like for a JT Torres?
Meal plan. So yes, absolutely supplements. You need the supplements. I mean, when you put your body through that, you need to refuel it with good stuff. So, I take, for example, vitamin C, fish oil, a daily multivitamin, a glucosamine pill. Those are the pills I take, and then I also take something called Endurox, which is like a hybrid between Gatorade and a protein drink right after training. And then Killcliff, I like to drink. I have a great sponsor, and their name's Killcliff, and I drink their recovery drinks after training, before training, sometimes during training, and they have these great protein bars. So that's what I'm usually doing supplement-wise. And then food-wise, I try to keep it very green, broccoli, avocado. It's a lot of salads, a lot of lean meats. I like the chicken, I like beef. So I'm not really trying to cut my food out. I'm always still eating good large portions, but just eating very clean. I try to avoid the pastas and the butters and the cheese and the breads and all that, and just keep it more natural.
Very nice. Now, another question from Fu Manchu 99. He wants to know, he's got two questions. What have been some of your BJJ epiphanies, and how are some of the challenges and advantages a smaller person faces in BJJ?
That's a good question. I would say there was back in 2010, I believe, I went down to Brazil, and I was fighting the Brazilian National Championship, and I actually had a match with Leandro Lowe, and another great BJJ fighter, and I actually lost the match by an advantage. It was a close fight, but I lost by an advantage. And after the match, I thought to myself, I trained hard, I felt well prepared, but what happened to me there? What happened in the match that I couldn't get the victory? And where I came to the conclusion was that you just gotta, like I was mentioning earlier, you can't be afraid to lose. When you're afraid to lose, you will lose. You know, so you just got to go out there and pull the trigger, and it doesn't matter if you get hit while doing it, but you hit right back harder and stronger. So, you know, that's the way. That was my big thing for me. That was when I turned the corner. I said, you know what? Should I go out there, win or lose? I'm going to pull the trigger, go for it, take the risk, because sometimes the risk is worth taking. You know.
Mm.
We have an interesting fan question here from Pat Sally 98, and you know I'm pretty curious to hear your answer on this because I experience this very often myself. Sometimes when I'm grappling, how do you deal with a loss or a particular tough day on the mat? What do you do on that? Because you know that can be pretty tough mentally, you know, in jiu-jitsu. And the other question he had for you was, what was your favorite belt to be at? Where did you feel you know you made the biggest leaps?
That's a good question. So I mean, we all have our good days and our bad days, without a doubt. And even the best black belts in the world and the best MMA fighters in the world still have their bad days and good days. And the way you gotta take those bad days, you gotta take them in a good way. You gotta take them where, you know, you're gonna tell yourself, you know what, it was a bad day, but now I know what I have to work on. Those bad days actually teach you more than the good days, I honestly believe. So you know what to work on in your next training session the next day, or what to go home and review, you know, in your mind, or review through your notes if you take notes after training. So that's to me how you should definitely handle those bad days. And now as far as the belt where I felt I made the most leaps and bounds, I would, you know, to be honest with you, I would have to say black belt. You know, I've been a black belt almost 6 years now. I'm actually coming up on my 6th year. And since I've got my black belt in 2009 to this point, I have improved day and night. And it's really true what they say, you know, the journey really begins when you get that black belt. So I would say definitely black belt is where you learn the most.
That's crazy. There's blue belts out there that are like, I've been doing this for years and the journey hasn't begun.
yeah, you gotta stick through it. You gotta ride the adventure the whole way through.
Now, here's a funny question from Zombizzle1. Have you seen the documentary on Rory MacDonald's day-to-day life? It's called American Psycho. It details his flawless morning routine and his strength and conditioning program, which consists of doing 1,000 sit-ups every day.
Actually, I have not seen it. I have not seen that.
Well, it's actually got Christian Bale in it, and it's quite a riveting watch. So if you get a chance, have a look. I imagine there's many similarities to Rory MacDonald, and I kid.
Oh, I'm going to check it out for sure.
In all seriousness, no, JT, we've got one more thing for you. It's called the Submission Raider Tap Out Round. We love to do it with every one of our guests. It's basically a fun part where we discover a few more things about you. We fire off a bunch of fun questions. It's kind of like word association. Just answer with the first thing that comes to your mind. Are you ready?
Yeah, let's do it.
Alrighty, what is the most important thing to remember when training jiu-jitsu?
There's always going to be water after a round.
Makes a good BJJ coach.
Always there by your side, win or lose.
Who was an idol of yours when you've always looked up to?
Jacare.
What's your go-to move?
Back takes.
Nice. Your diet is very important to you. We've always seen that your missus is a very good chef and kind of like your nutritionist. What's your favorite thing that she makes?
Grilled chicken breast with her nice specialty secret salad.
Yeah.
Ooh. Now, you know, we watch the countdown to Metamoris. We see that you're a gamer. Have you had a chance to play EA UFC and beat up Rory MacDonald yet?
I have not. I should do that, though. I have not done that.
Makes for great practice for the mental side of things. Now, obviously,
Yeah, you're right.
clean guy, clean diet. When you do have a cheat meal, though, what is it usually? What's your guilty pleasure?
Ooh, muffins.
Well, there you go, guys. I feel like we have learned a lot more about JT Torres. You can follow him on Twitter at JT Torres BJJ, and don't miss out as he takes on Rory MacDonald at Metamoris. JT, it has been an absolute pleasure. I feel like I'm going to play this interview in my gym so everybody can just become better by listening to it.
Awesome. Thank you guys for having me. I really appreciate it. It was an honor to be on the show.